Tonight, Action News Jax investigates a convicted serial con man who has pulled off a variety of schemes across the country.
Yeah, we have a mugshot of Dan McCann. Here he is. Action News Jax has learned several local car buyers say he took them for a ride to the tune of thousands of dollars. We also learned late this afternoon he is now in custody in New York. As Action News Jax investigator Ben Becker found out, one of his victims is a local mother trying to make ends meet.
So you don't have a car at all right now?
No car.
No car. Shira Roberson needed a new car for her growing family, but instead is growing impatient. The car is still there?
The car is still on the lot.
The mother of 5 thought she was leasing this 2008 Yukon from Mainline Auto on Beach Boulevard. She paid $4,000 with a money order in cash towards what she thought was a down payment, but has nothing to show for it. So she contacted me. Do you want to go over to the dealership now? Roberson said yes, and a ride picked her up. All right, so we'll meet you over there.
Okay. Thank you.
I followed Roberson to the dealership. So this is your car?
Pretty much.
We went inside and I confronted a manager, only to learn there was more under the hood. Is she going to get her money or the car?
I don't need you on the property, please. Get out of the property.
So you're not giving her money back?
It's not us.
Roberson's salesman was this man, Dan McCann, who briefly worked at Mainline before the dealership says he was fired for going rogue. What Roberson didn't know, she was being taken for an unexpected ride by McCann, who's been accused of steering others wrong as well. In an Action News Jax investigation, the state attorney's office and JSO tell me there are multiple warrants out for McCann's arrest. He's accused of grand theft and organized fraud. Right now, McCann is currently locked up by the feds in New York under a separate charge under the name of Dana McCann. Victims tell me he tricked them into paying cash and then made up excuses as to why their car wasn't available. Remember that money order? Roberson had made it out to McCann. Shortly later, Roberson exchanged text messages with McCann, who said the car needed an inspection because the check engine light was still on. It also turned out the company listed on Roberson's contract, Worldwide Commodities LLC, had no affiliation to the car dealership. I did some more digging and discovered via published reports, McCann is a serial con man with at least 5 convictions for fraud and served multiple stints in prison for swindling people across the country, dating back to the mid-'80s. In 2003 in Massachusetts, he was sentenced to 8 years in prison for a bogus $2 million real estate scheme. In 2018 in New York City, McCann is shown posing as a plastic surgeon, calling himself Dr. Dan. Eventually, he was captured in South Carolina on a separate warrant out of New Jersey.
This individual was an agent, a representative of that car dealership.
Dow Carson is Action News Jax law and safety expert. He believes the car dealership could be liable for what McCann is accused of doing to Roberson and to those other car buyers, even if he allegedly planned to rip them off.
If they're not doing a proper background check on their employees, then whose responsibility should it be?
As for Roberson and the dealership,
I appreciate the help, I do, because as you can see, it's kind of going nowhere.
She says they should take some responsibility. Your message about Mainline Auto is what?
Don't come.
Now, I spoke to the owner of Mainline Auto off camera. It was suggested they would work with Roberson on a solution. But as of right now, the dealership has not provided Roberson with her car or her cash. I'll stay on top of it. For coverage you can count on, I'm Ben Becker, Action News Jax. Tonight, Action News Jax investigates an online mattress company that has one local couple losing sleep. They reached out because they wanted to send Ben, that's me, and I got results.
So this has been a long ordeal.
Mm-hmm. It has been.
Close to a year.
Yeah.
Brenda Peroni spent time in the hospital.
I'm just getting over a couple of surgeries in 1 year, so I need a nice bed to recuperate in.
So Brenda and her husband Joseph went online and ordered an adjustable bed from a company called Ghost Bed. You may have seen some of the ads featuring tennis legend Venus Williams that promise high-performance sleep. But the Peronis say Ghost Bed had performance issues when it came to delivery.
So they ghosted.
They ghosted us.
Good way to put it.
The Peronis paid $2,898 for the bed and accessories on May 30th, 2021. The website says many customers received their mattress within just 2 to 5 days of placing their order. But that didn't happen. On June 9th, the Peronis received this email from Ghost Bed that said, "Sorry for the delay with your order." So the Peronis canceled, but only received a refund for $1,993.98. The reason why? They were charged restocking and delivery fees.
How do you ship something you don't have in stock, and how do you restock something you don't have in stock to begin with?
But the customer service rep's email didn't tell the Peronis that, according to FedEx, the bed was sent out on June the 2nd, but vanished for 10 days until the 12th. Eventually, it showed up in Jacksonville on the 18th, after the Peronis canceled it.
It seems to me reasonable on the part of the buyer to ask for a full refund.
Del Carson is Action News Jax law and safety expert. The GhostBed website does say orders are processed immediately to ensure we can ship within 24 hours. Because of this, we are unable to make any changes after an order has been submitted. It goes on to say, if an order is refused, canceled, or returned, it will incur a 15% restocking fee plus applicable shipping charges deducted from your refund. Carson doesn't believe that should apply in this case.
You can sue them in small claims court for the balance.
According to the Better Business Bureau, GhostBed has an F rating and has had 214 complaints in the last 12 months, many regarding returns and refunds. And according to the Florida Attorney General, it's received 23 complaints about GhostBed in the past 3 years.
Hi, this is Ben Becker with Action News Jax.
I wasn't spooked and called GhostBed. A spokesperson told me they want to help the Peronis, and as a courtesy, will refund the money. A few days later, the Peronis, who had already gotten $199, received the remaining $705 they've been waiting a year to recover.
So you can rest easy now.
I asked the Peronis what made them reach out to me.
I like the results that you get when I watch the news. And so I kept saying, we've got to call Ben.
All right, well, I'm glad to help. If an online bed company has you restless, don't sleep on it. Email me, send Ben at actionnewsjax.com.
Well, a lot of folks looking for a new car are actually opting for a used car instead. There are more of them available typically, and they cost less, and there is no better place to compare used car prices than online.
But not every deal works out. One popular online car retailer is having issues nationwide, including Jacksonville. We sent Action News Jax investigator Ben Becker to help a local woman who was stuck in park.
This is your first car buying experience.
Yes.
Christy Smith says she was trapped after buying this Ford Escape.
When I say Vroom, you say what?
Stay away.
Vroom is an online car retailer where you could buy, sell, or trade your car with a swipe of your finger. Smith paid about $23,000 for her Escape last December, plus taxes and fees, only to find out later from Vroom, after she took possession of the vehicle, that it doesn't have a clear title and it had a previous lien on it. That means she couldn't register the car. She's not the only one stuck in park. In an Action News Jax investigation, 119 customers filed complaints with the state of Florida against Vroom since March of 2021. These are car buyers who had title transfer troubles after buying a vehicle from the company. In this settlement agreement, Vroom agreed to pay an $87,000 fine in July. But Vroom's issues don't stop at the state line. There are also cases nationwide. According to the Better Business Bureau, Vroom has an F rating with more than 6,000 complaints in the last 3 years. Vroom admitted to problems in this 2021 filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, including backlogs in the titling and registration of vehicles due to pandemic shutdowns.
We represent over 250 individual clients with cases against Vroom.
Georgia attorney Cyclone Covey is taking Vroom to court, trying to help people from across the country get their titles through arbitration.
I think that in general, arbitration actually is not bad. It is not fast, but it can be faster than going to court. And so, you know, instead of maybe waiting 2 or 3 years, you might get a resolution in 12 to 14 or 15 months.
Smith wasn't waiting that long.
What made you reach out to me?
Well, I've heard that you can do pretty good things with companies that do stuff like this.
Smith says Vroom offered to buy back her Escape instead of giving her an even swap, a non-starter for Smith. It's because Vroom's vehicle prices have zoomed a lot higher in the past year. Take a look. I went on Vroom's website. A 2017 Escape with similar miles but fewer features now costs about $24,000. That's $1 grand more. The only comparable vehicle available on Vroom, this 2018 Hyundai Santa Fe Sport. But the cost, $26,499, about a $3,500 difference. But Vroom was paying more for Smith to rent a car. I emailed Vroom to bring this to their attention. The company had been paying for Smith to rent this vehicle since May, costing Vroom more than $5,300, far more than the $3,500 price difference between the Escape and the Santa Fe she wanted. Vroom saw what I was driving at and gave Smith the green light, saying, "We have been working with the customer to swap vehicles for her versus doing a buyback. She will now be receiving a 2018 Hyundai Santa Fe Sport." A few weeks later, the Escape was picked up and her new Santa Fe showed up. Smith has this message for you.
I'm very relieved, and I'm also very happy that Vroom decided to do the right thing and make it right at the end. I'm also very thankful for what Ben did behind the scenes to get this case resolved.
So, John, Tanika, Smith also tells me for all her trouble, Vroom also threw in, get this, $100 for a car wash and a detail.
So, all right, so you got Smith her car and you saved Vroom some money, it sounds like.
Try to help everybody, John.
All right, very good. Well, and it's not just Vroom.
Right. It's also Carvana. There's a class action lawsuit against Carvana right now. A lot of these issues stem from, these cars come from out of state where states have paper titles, and the cars get sold before these companies get possession of these titles. And, so that's why you have a temporary plate in the meantime, but they don't get these paper titles. You have a temporary plate that runs out, you run into a problem.
All right. Very good to know. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
Tonight, Action News Jax is investigating a local tree service business accused of leaving a customer stumped.
We sent Action News Jax Ben Becker, and he dug up what you need to know before you plant your money with these types of companies.
I see you take care of your yard, but you have a problem. Bill Burwell is trying to get to the root of that problem.
You're supposed to ground out your stump.
Supposed to grind out the stump and the roots.
How'd that work out?
It didn't work out at all.
According to this contract, on March 19th, Burwell hired a company called A Integrity Tree Surgeons for $1,500. It was to remove one oak tree in the front yard and cut and haul all debris. It also noted, per conversation, stump will be ground when stump grinder gets out of the shop. Burwell says the stump was finally ground out April 31st, but a mound of debris, as you can see here, was left behind. Burwell says a quarter of the stump was still on the ground, and after numerous failed attempts to reach the tree company, he hired another business to finish the job for another $275.
How frustrating is this?
It's unbelievably frustrating. You pay somebody up front for a service to be completed, and that's all they wanted them to do.
I made a phone call.
Hello, and thank you for calling Integrity Tree Surgeons.
But there was no answer. I went to the listed address of the owner, this man, Byron Davis, to get answers, and someone said Davis wasn't there.
That looks like his truck.
Yeah, it's a work truck.
It turned out Davis was home and came out a few minutes later.
I'm not ripping people off.
Are you willing to go over there now and talk to him? I mean, he's home. It's not too far away.
I'm willing to. Yeah, definitely.
Davis drove to Burwell's home, and I brought the men together face to face.
Bill, Byron, Bill.
So what about the contract? At the top it said, cut and haul all debris. But the fine print does say there's often a bit of a mound, and if a customer desires complete removal of the mulch, the service is available at an extra charge.
Do you have a tree in the backyard?
I do have a tree in the backyard.
Can we look at it?
Sure.
Davis offered to trim another tree to settle the dispute, but Burwell wasn't ready to go out on a limb.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure.
Davis's T-shirt says he's licensed and insured, but in an Action News Jax investigation, I discovered to be licensed in Duval County, you only need this, a business tax receipt to operate.
It doesn't mean anything at all other than you paid your tax to have basically a peddler's license in Jacksonville.
Dale Carson is Action News Jax law and safety expert. Duval County tax collector Jim Overton texted me that a tax receipt does not purport to be a license or to assure the public of competence. But then what about Davis's insurance? He sent me a copy of his liability insurance, but it shows it became active on June 22nd. When I asked Davis for proof of insurance prior to that date, I never received it.
If the tree falls on your house, you're going to end up being responsible, not the individual who cut that tree down. You don't just take a piece of paper from somebody and you call that insurance carrier and say, are these people current? That's the way that's done.
As for Burwell, I told him my findings, and he texted me he was cutting his losses, saying, I don't want Integrity Tree Surgeons, i.e. Byron, to do any additional work on my property. Adding, I appreciate you standing up for the consumers the way you do. And happy to help. And one other note for you. According to the Florida Department of State, A Integrity Tree Surgeons, the registration was previously dissolved in 2015 and 2020. It finally was renewed on June the 1st, just one day after I started asking questions. For coverage you can count on, Ben Becker, Action News Jax.